Hello, hi, good evening, and a very warm welcome to all of you in today's webinar. As always, we will allow a couple of minutes to the other participants to join in and settle down, and then we'll get started. In the meantime, we are going to discuss a few very important points, and the first one is related to our interaction. How are you going to interact in today's webinar? Is it going to be a monologue wherein I will just keep talking and you have to just keep listening to me, or we will interact and I will also ask for your opinions and you will share your feedbacks, inputs, suggestions, etc. So how are we going to do all that? Because this is a webinar format. So unlike a Zoom meeting wherein you can simply unmute yourself and ask your question, you can't do that here. So how are you going to interact me with me? So for that, there is in fact, there are two tools which we are going to use. The first one is the chat, which we are going to use the most, and the second tool is Q&A. So Q&A is a tool which I would recommend that you should use it for your question, or you keep it reserved for your question. So if there's a question, you put it in the Q&A. And how do you find the Q&A tool? So it will be down below. So in the action menu that you're seeing down below, especially if you're joining through a laptop or a desktop, then you'll find it down below. If you're joining through a smartphone or a tablet, it may be hidden in the menu in the more options. So there you can find it, and through that you can ask the question. Chat is obviously visible in front of you. So using chat, you can ask or respond to my points or share your inputs as well. So I will keep the chat window open on the other monitor and I will keep peeking into it. So from time to time, if there's anything which requires explanation, I will certainly include that in my response or in my presentation. So that's how we are going to interact. Now, most of you would want to access the recording of today's session, and that's why I have to look into the live stream of today's session. So I will just for a moment look into the live stream and then I will be back with you. So let me just quickly look into the live stream. It is looking good. So the live stream is working fine. So let me just move it to the other monitor. Now, this is a common question, and if you ever find me looking to that side, that's where I'm looking at the other monitor where I have the live stream preview open in front of me. So that's what I am looking at. So the live stream is working fine now. I was telling that many times in our webinars, we get this question that will we get the recording? Yes, the answer is yes, certainly you will get the recording of today's session. Immediately after the webinar, there is a system generated email that will come to you with the link of the recording. And I will also personally email to you after this session. And you can either access it through my email or through the system generated email, whichever works. Or if you want to access it yourself, then just go to YouTube and search for Global Inker. So in my name tag somewhere here or here, uh, possibly here, yeah, here, you are seeing Global Inker. So you have to just search for Global Inker there on YouTube, and you will be able to access our channel. Now on our channel, there are a number of playlists you have to look for live, and in the live, you'll find this live stream on the top. So that's how you'll be able to access it yourself as well. So if you want to access it right away, also you can do that. All right, so this is where I believe we have waited for almost 4 minutes, and I should not be taking any more of your valuable time. So let's begin. Let's get started. Just a second. I am getting a message. I just saw a message that my audio is echoing a lot. Just give me a quick second. Let me look into the audio setting. Just So just bear with me for a second. I will look into my audio, although many of the other participants have confirmed that the audio is okay. But better to cross check. So Audio setting is perfectly fine. I've just cross-checked my microphone and it is okay. So it seems to be an issue with your device. All right. Yeah, I've just cross-checked my audio setup, and because I use this audio setup, so like most of the time it is perfect. There's no issue. Okay, all right. So this is where we are now going to get started with today's discussion, and in next few moments you'll start seeing my screen, and then we'll proceed ahead with our discussion today. So once again, good evening and a very very warm welcome to all of you in today's webinar. And this is where we are getting started. As we are getting started, let me introduce myself. My name is Adnan. I'm Director Digital Commerce at Global Inker. My functional role at Global Inker is of a product head, wherein I had the digital commerce products at Global Inker. I have about 20 years of experience of digital and technology. And the second role that I play here is of a public speaker, wherein I conduct a lot of webinars, workshops, conferences, seminars, etc., physical, digital, all type of. And I try to share knowledge and information about how digital and technology can be leveraged by business owners so that they can fulfill their long last desire of growing business digitally. Because to be honest and realistic with you, in today's day and age, there are so many solutions and there are so many technology product etc available. The real challenge, especially for entrepreneurs and for business owners, lies with the knowledge, knowing how to use technology. Even from Global Inca, there are so many solutions available, but business owners are not aware, and that's why they are not able to utilize. So that's where I try to bridge that gap by conducting these kind of sessions and sharing knowledge and information with them. And so far I had the wonderful opportunity of conducting more than 500. After 500 I stopped counting, and I had the wonderful opportunity. In fact, I was blessed with this opportunity to share some knowledge with about 19,000 business owners from various countries. So that's a quick introduction about myself. I will share my contact details with all of you. In fact, I will send you a personal email with my contact details, including phone number, etc. And all of you are more than welcome to connect with you. I may not be very proactive in answering your phone. I'll try to call back whenever possible, but the preferred medium would be email or WhatsApp. You can drop me a message and I'll be happy to respond to you. All right. So let's move ahead. I'm going to now start sharing my screen and we will proceed ahead. And while I do that, let me just move the chat window and the Q&A window onto the other monitor so that I can keep looking at your comments and questions. All right, perfect. So I have both the things on the other monitor and I am now going to start sharing my screen. All right, so let's move ahead. You may be wondering what is happening. So I had so many tabs open. I was getting confused myself. So I was closing them. And sorry for wasting few minutes of yours, but this is where we should be Now able to start. Now this is a webinar where I thought of approaching it slightly differently, and this is where I will be using, first of all, in my first webinar, I will be using two presentations. One is this one, and the second is the other presentation which I have prepared for all of you, and that is more focused around the topics that we have on our discussion list. But before that, I wanted to share with you a very small story, and that will help you get the context. So, story goes like this, and that's where I've also created the visual. So, hope you're able to see my screen. It will be great if you can confirm that, although on the live stream preview, I can check and see that. Right. So on the live stream preview, I can see the screen share is working, but it will be great if you can confirm. All right, Nitinji, thanks for confirming. And I believe many more participants will confirm. So thank you all for doing that. Now, the story goes like this, that once upon a time, many, many years ago, there used to live a very rich and powerful king. And that king was very fond of dressing nicely. So he was very fond of having the best attire and the best uh, ornaments, etc. Right? So he was very, very fond of doing that. Now his birthday was coming, and that's where he wanted to have one of the best dress that was out there in his kingdom, and that's where he instructed his servants that you should go to my kingdom and find the best artisan who can make that dress for me. So the best tailor or weaver or whatever you would want to refer to. So he was looking for the best person who can make the finest dress for his birthday. So that's where these servant went to the ministers and ask, where can we find these artisans? King has instructed us that we should be finding the best artisan in the kingdom who can make king's dress. And that's where the minister suggested that there is a city which is very popular for all these artisans, and there are very, very skilled artisans in that city. So why don't you go there? So they started off, and because of the bad weather, they got late, and they reached that city after sunset in the evening, and that's where all the shops and establishments were closed. So that's where these servants inquired with few of the locals that where can we find these artisans. So one of the local recommended that you should be going to a street called Poshak Street, where all these artisans have their establishments, they have their shops, and from there you can get the right dress. So these servants, because they were under tremendous pressure to get the finest dress, so in the evening itself they decided that we should be going and having a look at who are the good artisans. So they went to that street, and that's where they saw that there were many stores who had these signboards. So they read the signboards, and they decided that this is an artisan who looks good. And in the morning, they went ahead and met that artisan. Now, there was this artisan called Arvin, who was a phenomenally good artisan, who was really good at making the dresses, who was really good at his craft, etc. But he didn't had any signboard on his shop. There was no signboard, and that's why servants were not able to make out. They went to the shop which had the signboard, and they gave him the once in a lifetime opportunity of making the king's dress. Now, despite the fact that Arvind was better skilled, he had the better material, he had the better knowledge, and he had everything to do that job. He was the most qualified person to do that job, but because there was no presence, the servants couldn't find him because of the absence of signboard, etc. And that's where he lost once in a lifetime opportunity. Now, the scenario in the modern world is that instead of physical servants, we have AI, and the king is replaced by your customers, your buyers. Now, those buyers are asking the modern servants, which are AI agents, to find the suppliers, which are you. Now, if the same scenario happens that you are the most skilled and you have the phenomenal product, you have the right pricing, you have everything, but if these servants can't find you, which is the AI systems can't find you, then we all know the outcome. You will also lose the once in a lifetime opportunities, or you lose many, many opportunities because of that. So, that is the story which I wanted to convey with you, that it is critical and crucial to be found. Yes, finding the buyer, that's one part of the sales process, but at the same time, it is crucial that they can find you. And in today's day and age, it is needless to mention, even if you are approaching your customers directly, so even if I do a LinkedIn outreach or I do an email outreach, a lot of these international buyers are going to use AI. They are going to use the modern digital servants to find about you. Now, if these modern digital servants come to your website and it does not have the right information, again, we know the outcome, right? So that's where being discovered is critical and crucial for every business. And that's the moral of the story. Now, moving on to the main part of our presentation, I hope this story conveyed the message. Now, let's move ahead. The little blueprint for Indian exporters and what are the mistakes. I will skip this slide. Now, this is building up on what I just mentioned, that the outdated playbook for the business, and business, like any other thing, is a ever evolving thing, right? So how we used to do grocery shopping, it has changed, right? So I'm not sure for how many years I haven't stepped into a supermarket. I used to buy possibly before 2018, but ever since that digital option came in, I haven't done that. My parents used to do that, going physically to the store and buying everything, and it used to be a half a day engagement, but not anymore. And that's just one example. There are so many examples, and you all are more intelligent and knowledgeable by as compared to me. So I'm not going to say all that. We all understand that the traditional way in which we used to do business, they are changing, they are evolving, they are getting better. There are certain practices, certain things that we used to do, they are now outdated. We are not doing them, and there are newer things that we are doing. So, in the traditional sense, we used to rely heavily on the physical exhibitions, depend solely on the buyer visit, and rely on the word of mouth and ignore critical digital infrastructure. So all that was a story of the past. Now, in the modern context, your digital authority and credibility is important. You should be trusted. You should not only be found, you should also come out as a genuine and a trustworthy organization. And you should have the strategic digital architecture. Sounds very intimidating, but it's not that complicated. And I'm going to explain to you all that. All right. So this is just building on the story which I told you. So digital buying has changed. Now the international buyers, when they are looking for your credibility, that's where they are looking for modern and updated website, detailed product catalogs, overall digital authority, and certifications or trustworthiness. So those kind of things they are looking at in a business to decide whether that king's dress order should go to that business or not. I'm just still building on that story. Now, there's a 60-second rule in which I would want to share with all of you, that if your website, and let's stop for a moment. Now, this is where all of you must be thinking that Adnan is talking all about website, website, website. But in modern days, there are so many things. There are or social platforms, and there are different marketplaces, etc. They are all there. But he is constantly talking about website. Now, one thing which I believe all of you understand, and if you don't understand or you haven't realized by now, so I'm going to just say it so that it is clearer that what is the data source about your business on the internet? What do you think? What is the data source from where AI is going to understand about you? Where will it go to check about Milinji's, Milind Acharya's business? Next weave export, where will AI go and understand? I'm just hope Milind, you don't mind. I just saw your chat, so I just quoted your name. But where will AI go? Obviously, the source remains the website. That is where most of the information about you, trust signals, etc., that it will take from the other things that you have on the internet. But the source, the origin is your website. And that's where, if this 60-second rule is failing, you are in trouble. What is this 60-second rule? So within 60 seconds, and that is 1 minute, there is a clear compliance information. So clear compliance information means whatever are your compliance. Every business has different types of compliance. So clear information is there, and I'm going to share with you, for example, so that it is clear. Clear product catalog. Now, this is a tricky bit, and this is where I've seen a lot of websites wherein businesses are conservative and they haven't added the detail, and we are going to talk about that a little later in detail. So that's the product information is missing. Production capacity, infrastructure, etc. If you are a merchant, then what is the sourcing capacity on that, and then your certifications, etc. So overall, and I'm going to detail this out later, but overall, if your website does not have these kind of information, then the problem is there. Now, the diagnostic kit, I've tried to put it together. So in the heading, it was mentioned, or in the title of the webinar, it was mentioned that there are 5 mistakes. I have added one more bonus one with for you. So there are 6 ones, and I've again put them in buckets. So we have strategy and ownership, we have content and catalog, and then we have trust and tech. There are 3 buckets. The first one is no intentional presence, and the second one is over reliance on agency. The third one is conservative business information. The fourth one is missing products online. Fifth one is not build trust and authority, and six is technical audit. So these are the 5 mistakes which are there, which are impacting you, which are making you Arvind, if you still recall that story. So let's dig deeper into these. The first one is no intentional presence. Now, here, this question is for you. How many of you had made this website wherein you were involved with everything, wherein each page, what content will go, how it will be presented, and how it will be displayed, and you had yourself written the content, and then it was further improved by some professional content writer? How many of you have done that? Or you have just asked or hired an agency that I need a website, and the website was created. Whatever was there within the mind of that agency, they just built it. You didn't give them any content. Basic information is my name of the business. These are the products that we deal in, and they created everything. So no intentional presence basically means you are not looking at your website as a tool. You are more looking at it as a liability, as a expense where you are investing every year on hosting, on tech support, on AMC and whatnot, and it is going on for years and years, and you are considering it as a liability? Or are you someone who has considered it as a tool? So that's where you are not only establishing it, but you are also actively working on figuring out how it can make me visible and it can generate business for me. So that's where the gap lies, is not having a intentional presence. So if you are someone who is of that mindset wherein It is not a tool, but more of a liability because everyone has that. So I also have to have a website. So if you have approached it, and I'm not saying that you have done a cardinal sin, you have done a big crime by having that outset. A lot of businesses many years ago didn't perceive technology or internet that seriously. They didn't took it as a medium through which, and especially B2B, B2C always took it because that's where their customers were sitting, and that's where for them it was crucial. But a lot of B2B businesses just created a website because everyone was creating it, and it has to be there because otherwise I will not look professional. So just you don't like to be dressed formally, but because everyone is dressed formally and you look like odd one out, so that's where you thought of you also got dressed, but you never uh, thought of dressing it very sharply. So that's where the fabric, the silhouettes, everything is not decided and created that way. So being intentional is very, very important because unless you are intentional about something, unless you are intentional about your website, and that's where the intentional means that it is a tool which you are going to use very powerfully to make your business visible, firstly understandable by AI, and then also use it to generate leads. So that's the intentional mistake. And I've seen a lot of businesses do that. So that's why I've added it. Second is over little reliance on agency. This is related to the first one. And this is where, again, businesses hire agency and they just tell them, okay, we're an expert, create it for us. Now, that agency, if that agency is not very, uh, what do you say, uh, honest with their craft, they will create whatever is easiest for them to create, not the best one to create, whatever is the easiest one to create and deploy. So they'll do that. Now, for example, there is a about us page which has to be there on your website. Now, you hired an agency, and agency asked like, can you give us content which has to go on the about us page? And that's where you told them you're an expert, we do these products, we export, let's say, agri products, and that's where you told them this is what I do, create something. Now if that person is true to their craft and they are honest, etc., so obviously they'll put in effort, they'll write the content, hire a content writer, etc., they'll do that. In today's day and age, you can use AI also to do that, but the effort is there. But if that person is not that honest, or that agency is not that honest, what they'll do is they'll find some flashy content from here and there, put it together and upload it. Now your website gets blacklisted by Google. That's none of their business. Your website gets flagged for plagiarism, that you have used someone else's content. You are like literally flagged as a criminal, as a thief. You have stolen someone's content. None of their business. So that's where, if you're overly relying, and again, since last October, I had been constantly every day I'm meeting exporters and reviewing their digital presence, and that's where there are so many hundreds of websites which I've reviewed. They are so badly made, and when I ask like, what happened? How do you end up with such a bad website? The answer is the agency created it. We were not involved. Boss, this is your website, this is your business, not the agency's business. Why were you not in all? And psychologically, because you're not an expert and you don't want to be put into a scenario wherein you're not an expert, and there's a lot of stress. And trust me, anything which we are not familiar with. So, when we were in exam rooms, and that's where there was a question which uh, we haven't heard of, or we were not familiar with, or we didn't remember, we will immediately get stressed and we'll start sweating, and all that starts happening because you are not familiar, you don't have that knowledge, expertise, etc. So that's where it is a difficult and stressful situation that you are in when it comes to these kind of discussions. Now that's where you wanted to avoid that stress, you wanted to push it away, and that's where you decided like, let the agency do, you are the expert, let the agency do. And that's where, because of that over reliance and just blindly taking whatever the agency has done, uh, creates a lot of issue and makes you Arvin, where you can't be found. So that is there. I've also added one point here. I'm not sure how many of you are actually looking at the screen and reading that. So there is a point about ownership loss, and this is also something which has happened with many businesses, wherein the domain was actually booked by the agency, and the business didn't have the ownership. And then after so many issues, etc., business decided that I should be moving away from this agency. This agency is overcharging me and doing this and that, etc. And that is where the domain was not with them, and a large sum was charged to hand over the domain, or they lost that domain, etc. So all those kind of nuances are also happening. So that's where avoid that over reliance. Even if you're working with me, that's where you should be part of the game. You should be asking questions and you should be involved into it, because at the end of the day, it is your business. Right? Blind spot is something which we have discussed and we had been discussing ever since this webinar started. So I'm not going to take your stance. Reactive stance is also something that uh, quite often happens. So this is where when I'm doing these reviews, I tell them, okay, this is the issue, that is the issue, and that's where they go and then react. So it is entirely reactive. You are reacting to something which has already happened. So, for example, I was meeting a very large business yesterday, and as part of the review, I generally go to Google and check the indexing, and I was surprised that it is a large business. It is a large business, but some of the underdevelopment pages from their website. So when we are making the website, there are certain pages which we build, which are the rough ones, etc. They were indexed. They were on the Google, right? So that's where over reliance. Whatever the agency does, no one bothered to check. And those kind of underdevelopment pages, that is impacting their authority, and whatnot impacts are there. Fixable thing, but oversight, and that's where now you're reacting. Or for example, you made your website live and still it does not have all the content. And a lot of agencies I've seen do that, that okay sir, your website, this page, that page is ready, let's make it live, we'll continue to add the content. Now what happens, that those pages get indexed with lorem ipsum content. Lorem ipsum is a dummy content which is there. A lot of pages got indexed with lorem ipsum content. Now, once those are indexed, it will take you months to get them re-indexed with the right content. You are reacting to the damage which is already done. So that's where, again, avoid getting into this kind of unpleasant scenario. Mistake number three is the silence paradox. Very scary sounding term, silence paradox, but it basically means a phenomenon which I've seen particularly in Indian businesses. I haven't seen it in other countries' business, and I'm not talking about the Europeans or the US ones or the Britishers. I'm talking about our Aspas wala. Philippines, Sri Lanka, etc. And they are very vocal, especially the Philippines one. They are very vocal about their business, and they add whatnot information. But somehow we have this psychology that we are a little conservative in sharing about ourselves. Nazar na lag jaye, and I don't know what the theory is, but it is affecting your business. So that's where there are fears that competitors may copy or the buyers will negotiate hard, or those kind of scenarios. But that's where what you're doing is not by not adding information, you are giving less information. Now, that less information equates to the same scenario that I spoke about Arvind, wherein he was the finest artisan, the most skilled one, but because there was no hoarding, there was no signboard, the servants couldn't find him. Now, similarly, imagine that a international buyer has asked AI to find you, right? It has asked to find businesses similar to you. Now, that's where if you don't have the adequate information, it is not going to call you, okay, Mr. Ramesh, this is AI calling. I am looking for suppliers of black pepper. Do you happen to export black pepper? AI is not going to do that, right? AI is going to simply push you out of the list, and it is only going to recommend where it has the information, right? So this is where we have to give up our conservative information paradox, and we have to be very, very vocal. So anything and everything that is related to your business and is a potential question or a answer to a potential question should be there on your website, right? So we have to be very detailed. And if I have to explain this with an example, because now I am getting a sense that you might be getting a little confused. So I'll try to explain that with a few examples. Now, this is a business which is into manufacturing of essential oils and those kind of things. Now, generally, when you go to manufacturers' websites, etc., you'll have just like one about us page. Now, here you have almost 11, 12 of them. So this is where anything and everything, who they are, and what is the export process, quality assurance, because there's a personal use item. So that's where you have quality assurance, and then you have certifications, and then sourcing and procurement, sustainability and CSR, very important to their buyers and testimonials, case study, right? What not is there. And similarly, if you are going to another, sorry, not this one, another business, that's where you have another pieces of private labelings, etc., that they are doing. If you're going to other business, this is where again we have pages of sourcing, their certifications, etc. Now this is a very different business which is into poultry feeds, etc. And this is where you can see again there are pages, but specific to, right? So their formulations and then nutritional feed, etc. So all that is also captured here. So the point is that we have to give up that conventional psychology of being conservative or sharing as little as possible. Now this is where again you can see 10, 12 pages are there. Now all these pages are created to not be trapped in the silence paradox, right? So give up that conventional mindset. So that's where every piece of information that a potential customer may need, we are already talking about that on the website. That's what is needed. Now, that lack of information which may be there on your website, it is impacting you. So it is affecting AI's understandability. One peculiar thing which you can also experiment for yourself. Now go to Google and search for anything. Let's say search for black pepper. I was just talking about black pepper. So search for black pepper, and that's where you may get like 100,000, 1 lakh or plus results for, or probably a million results for black pepper. Now do the same thing with AI. It will give you possibly 10, 12 results. So 1 lakh, 12. There's a huge difference. Where did the others go? Where did all those 99,900 something go? So, because AI does not trust them. Now, unless AI has the information, from where will it get the information from your website? So, this gap, this silence paradox is causing that shift. So, this is something which should not be there. The missing product is another, and this is something which is very particular with merchant exporters. And if there are non-exporters in the audience and you may be confused, what are the merchant exporters? The merchant exporters are the businesses that are doing trading. So they are not the manufacturers themselves. They do the trading of commodities, of the products, etc. Or they help international clients source the products from the various vendors that we have, various suppliers that we have based on the client's requirement. So that's where generally what I see that they will just add one page and share information that these are the products that we deal in. So, for example, they are a agri product exporter, and that's where they have one page, our offering, and that's where there is a small picture of black pepper and the name written, or possibly if they are a little less conservative, then they will have a few lines written about the black pepper also. But that's how. Now, if you are doing this, this is where having a website is as good as not having a website. Let me say that again because you may be confused like, what did he say? So, if you have created a website and it does not have the product information, then it is as good as not having the website altogether. Because let's accept this fact that people are searching for products. There is no one searching for you. There is no one searching for ABC Enterprises and XYZ Enterprises. They are searching for the product, and whosoever happens to have that product gets the order. So now, because you don't have the product, it does not exist on the internet, and it means that when there is someone who is searching for black pepper, now let's spend a minute and let's dig into it a little deeper. So imagine a scenario. I am a or there is a international buyer, and that international buyer is looking to buy, let's say, 10 tons of black pepper, and they want Malabar M2 grade of black pepper. Now what that person will do is it will ask AI, and nowadays there are a lot of sophisticated AI agents available. You don't even have to go to ChatGPT or Gemini. But if imagine that person is not uh, having access to all those sophisticated tools, just access to ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity or Claude, anyone of them, that person goes and gives the instruction that I'm looking for a supplier who can fulfill 10 tons of Malabar M2 grade black pepper, and find me those suppliers. Now, and the supplier should have these certifications also. Now imagine that if you have just written that, you have just one image and written black pepper there, and no information whether it is Malabar, whether you are supplying Malabar, whether you have M2 grade or not, and what are the certifications that you are having related to that product, and other finer details like the grain size and add mixture, and then the moisture content and whatnot. I'm not an expert, I'm just making out these things. So that's where you can't be found. Like, let's be realistic. The people who have that information will be found. And the unfortunate fact is that, and apologies, I'm being blunt, but there's no one else on this planet who has a better knowledge of these products than you. I say if you're an agri product exporter, you will have the best knowledge about black pepper. You will know everything that is related to that, and you have that all in your head, all that information, and you are living under the perception that when the buyer will inquire, I will tell them. That's never going to happen because the buyer is inquiring through an AI agent, and AI is doing that gatekeeping where it will only allow the people who have provided the information. So that's where you are limiting yourself. You are becoming Arvind by not getting found. So please have detail. Any website, every website, whether you're a merchant exporter, whether you're a manufacturer exporter, you are into engineering product, what not, you have to be as detailed as possible. And that's why I gave that black pepper, because generally when people are approaching it, okay, we deal in black pepper. No, you have to go further detail. What grades, what types and what grades, and even in those grades you have different information, specifications, everything should be there. I often say this word, I'm not sure if I'm calling from someone, but the magic lies in detail. So the more detail you are, the better are your chances, right? So this is where your digital visibility should be all the way down here, not just limited to the product. And for many of the businesses it is absolutely zero because you have not uploaded the product. Now that's where it is not just about uploading the product. Let me quickly try to show you an example. So I'm just trying to avoid loading a product. If there is someone open, yes, there is. Okay, there is a spice product. This is fennel soft. So that's where, again, adding the product, having a product detail page. This is called the product detail page where you're talking about the product. And in fact, in the URL structure also, you can see. So this is the domain and then / products and then the product name. So it is telling that it is a product. So it should have its title, it should have its detailed information, and that detailed information should also be formatted so that AI can understand. AI does not like long paragraphs. So if you have added five long paragraphs, no use for AI. It likes bullet points, it likes FAQs, it likes shorter or question answer type content. So it also has to be formatted, right? So it is not just like I created the page and as Adnan said, I created the page and now I am AI discoverable. No, it will not guarantee. In fact, there's one more angle to it. So I will show you that. So AI does not look at this information like we do. So if we go back to that page, where is it? Here we have. So like we are seeing, so this is where we have the image, this is where we have the uh, product title, this is where we have the description, etc., features, attributes, etc. We are able to see all that. AI does not see it like this. AI looks at it differently. And how does it look? So this is where you can see. So this is called the schema, and we are using a tool called validator.schema. This is from the schema.org, and this tool basically helps us know like how the schema structure is looking at and what information is being passed. So the first one is these are three buckets. The most important for us are organization and product. So organization basically tells AI that this product belongs to which organization, and that's where you have this. Now, what I want all of you to do, you can do it now or you can do it after the webinar. Do this check. If you have product detail page on your website, go there, run this test and see if this is there. And the most important is if you have product in most of the website, you will not have products. And this type should be a product. If it is web page, if it is article or something else, it is not product. Unless you are a service provider, in that case, it should be service. But if it is not that, then you are out of the race, my friend, because this is telling AI that it is not a product. If it is a web page, it is telling AI that it is a web page. So why would may I recommend you, because you are telling it is a web page, so it is not getting that signal. Okay, this is a product. Okay, this business deals in this product, so it is getting that information. So the product belongs to Lakshita Organics, and it deals in this product, which is Fennel Soft, and all the information is here, right? So yeah, I can understand it. So not just having the product detail page, having the information in the right structure, and also having the schema on your website, all that is required to actually become AI understandable. All right, so this is the missing product. And as I said earlier, this is the biggest of all misses which happens. And if you don't have this, then having a website is as good as not having a website. Let's move on to the fifth one, and this is the tricky one. And this is where I would request all of you to understand this with little more attention. I believe all of you are paying attention, but sincere request, because this is tricky. Without this, it is again not going to put you in that list. AI is not going to put you in that list. Now, why so? Trust is so important because AI has to take that decision. I mean, I'm just repeating what I said a few minutes ago, but it will help you relate. So I gave you that example that there's an international buyer who's looking for black pepper, Malabar M2 grade, and the grain size should be 4, the admixture should be below 5%, and the moisture content should be below 10%. Now that person is looking for this information. It gave the instruction to ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT looked for the various websites and it found. Now it recommended 10 of them. There are probably millions of websites who have added that information, or let's say there are 100 of websites. Let's imagine that there are 100. Now, out of those 100, why did it just recommend it 10? It did not recommend it 100, because that's where the trust score matters. So unless AI is trusting you, finding you is one thing and trusting you is another thing. Unless it is trusting you, unless it feels that you are a credible business, you are not a fraud, it is not going to recommend you. Now, how do you become trustworthy? And as you're on your screen, you can see physically you have a massive capacity, you have real factories, and you have decades of history, and all that is there physically. So, as a human being, if I am visiting you and your factory, I will be amazed, I will be impressed But digitally, nothing is there. So that's where you are not being perceived as a trustworthy organization. And I said it is a tricky part because it does not mean that I add 5 pages to my website and automatically I am a trustworthy business. That magic does not happen. You have to work on that. And there are many things that you have to do. The most important ones, and which every business should be doing, is displaying compliance certificates. So I am compliant with this. So I have GST, I have IC, I have FSI, I have whatnot. So whatever certificates are relevant to your business, add them, display them on your website. Now, a lot of business I talk to have this. I thought of also showing you that what certificate do you have and also display the certificate, right? So you should be displaying then the certificates. Yeah, here. And actual certificate is there. So it is not just we are talking about, okay, I have IEC, I have GST. So what is this certificate? You have already talked about it and you have also displayed the certificate. So that is very important. The next one is testimonials. So as many testimonials and try to add them as a page, not just, sorry, I am not sure what did I do. Okay. So not just displaying them on a small section on your home screen. If possible, add them as a page. So this is where you can see there are different testimonials and case studies. Many of you will have very interesting case studies, how you have helped your customers over the period of time. So those, your infrastructure, if you are a manufacturer, then you should have a page about your factory or a page about your infrastructure. You must have, right? So if you are not having a page on your website talking about that, and that's where you're doing injustice to your business. So you have that and take inspiration from the Chinese manufacturer. Go to a Chinese manufacturer website for sure. 99.99% you'll have a page. In fact, on the home screen itself, they'll have a video showcasing the entire manufacturing setup and whatnot. They are talking about it, right? So those kind of things, you have to be very, very vocal. In fact, what is the production process? What are the quality assurances that you are taking? What are the lab tests which are there? Sourcing, how you are doing sustainable sourcing, which is very important to a lot of international buyers. So you are talking about that as well. If there are any CSR activities that you're doing, you're talking about that also. So whatever makes your business or presents you as a trustworthy organization, you should be adding all that on your website. Now, there's no golden rule to it. Okay. Compliance, testimonials, case studies, these are something which anyone and everyone should add. Now, other than that, if you have sourcing, so if you are a merchant exporter, how you are doing the sourcing and quality certification or quality assurance, so those kind of things. Or if you are production, then how are you ensuring highest quality? What are the lab tests or what are the production processes or what are the measures that you have taken to ensure quality? Also, all those kind of things. And it will vary from business to business. So it is not like every business will have these pages, but these kind of information should be there on your website. If you don't have that information, and again, just adding logos that we are certified with IC. I have a IC certificate. I have a FSI certificate. I have a FITA or FIO registration. I have a PEDA registration. Just displaying the logo will not work. The ideal way is this is the certification, this few points or few lines, 1 or 2 lines about that certification and displaying that certification. That's the ideal way to do it. So that's there. And I mentioned that this is the tricky part. So it does not stop there, that you have added 5 pages or you have added 7 pages with a lot of detailed content, bullet points, FAQ, etc. And that automatically makes you trustworthy. No, it does not stop there. Yes, you are giving matter to AI that is making you appear. So you are giving the information, but there are trust signals that it has to receive. So where will those trust signal will come from? So they will come from your social media. So all of you should have social media. profiles. So Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, if you can make videos in today's day and age. I don't think it is much of an effort. Anyone and everyone can do that, right? So all you need is a smartphone and a wireless mic. So possibly around 2000, you can get that and you can get going with making the videos. So not very difficult to do that. But more importantly, just not having social presence, being active on the social presence is also necessary. So you should be posting at least once in a week. If you can post more than that, well and good. And that's where I strongly recommend that you should be leveraging AI. You can use AI to create the post calendar. Now give that post calendar to AI. It will create the content and visuals also, and then you can use one of the scheduling service to schedule it. So if you are spending like 2 hours or 3 hours in a month, not every day, in a month, you are taking care of the entire social media for a month or possibly for a quarter. It's not that complicated with AI. You can easily do that. And influencers who are just one man army, they are doing it day in day out because they are just leveraging the AI in the right way. You can also do that. You have much more credibility, you have much more resources as compared to them, and you can effortlessly do that. It is just about knowledge. In fact, I am thinking of doing a dedicated webinar around that. So whenever time permit, I'll try to do that, or I'll at least try to create a video around that, how you can leverage AI to create that content. But the important point is that you should have all the social profiles, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, all optimized. You should have banners, about, etc. Everywhere it should be added. The most important ones for the trust signal is your Google My Business. So if you have not created, and a lot of businesses perceived Google My Business as something which is relevant for restaurants, for salons, for beauty parlors, etc. So they thought like, why should I be creating? I am a exporter. It is important for every business. So you should have updated Google My Business. Try to do an update once in a month, if possible. Add to your product, link your social profile, update the description, and get as many reviews as possible, right? So do that. Now let's, so again, trust. So information on your website plus social plus Google My Business, that will give. Now, another thing which you can do very, very powerfully is use blog articles. And that's where let me try to explain that with an example. So this is a business which is into export of spices. Now, organic spices to be precise. Now, a lot of international buyers, especially from Europe, US, who are importing spices from India for the first time, they have this question that how do you ensure quality and certification when importing spices from India? And I'm not just making it up. We did a research and we found out that this happens to be a very common question that is being asked. And that's where we answered that using a blog article. So this is something which you can use very, very powerfully on your website. So here, there are two things that you're doing. One is you are directly answering, and you may have heard of this phenomenon called answer engine optimization, which is believed to replace search engine optimization. So answer engine optimization is basically finding the right answer to the question, and that's where we have given a right answer or a direct answer to the question. So that's where it will lead to traffic. But more importantly, because you are contributing, you are answering the question, so you are putting yourself as a subject matter expert. So that's where your authority improves and you give trust signals also through that. So this is also something. And other forum like Quora, Reddit, etc. So that's where if there's a discussion related to your product that is happening, that's where also you can contribute. Those things can be done, but I don't want to like, give you something which looks very intimidating, and that's where you don't do it. So that's where I'm structuring it out. Information about your business, all the compliance, testimonials, and anything that makes your business look like a trustworthy company. So all that related to your infrastructure, etc., etc. Then your social, your Google My Business, that should be the priority to fill the trust gap. Now, this is the last one. And after this, we will quickly move on to the solution and then we'll conclude the session. It is already 5. So technical audit is something which I recommend that all of you should be doing periodically. And this is also something which, when I was doing those reviews, I realized that when I did the technical audit, that's where there were so many issues. So there was this business, which is again a very genuine business. I personally know the owner. He's a gentleman, a very nice person. But what happened, because he's not a tech savvy person, so whatever the agency gave him, he took it, and that website is 5 years old. So he got a website made 5 years ago, and till date, it is not even indexed, which means you have a website, it is there on your visiting card, and beyond that, there is nothing. So unless someone is typing the link directly, abc.com, only then they can open it. Otherwise, if they are searching on Google, nothing is there. It is not even indexed. And there were so many technical issues with that. So the realization was that because of technical audit, no one has done a technical audit. They took 5 years to realize, okay, the thing which I have in the name of website is good for nothing. It is not doing any good to my business. People can't find me. That's the basic job of a website, to make you discoverable on the search. And even if people are searching directly by your name, they are not able to find you because your website is not indexed. So those kind of simple thing, and checking indexing is very simple. Just go to Google, type site and colon, and copy paste your URL, and that's where you can see how many pages are indexed. And if you're seeing a fisherman sitting, or a blue colored character sitting there with a fishing rod, you are in a lot of trouble, because none of the pages from your website are indexed. And if that is there, it is an indication that AI also knows nothing about your business. So very important. Slow load speed, that is something which you can check with Google Page Speed. There are other tools like GD Matrix, etc. available, but that is more precise. Google Page Speed, you can use that. Not having schema structure. So I showed you this when we were looking at, I showed you this one. This is again part of technical audit. Now, if it is not there, AI will not understand what this product is. You have hired the world's most expensive content writer, and that person has written world's best content. It is structured for AI understandability, whatnot. If this is not there, none of that matters, right? So these kind of checks are very simple. So all you have to check, firstly, indexing, second is schema, very important for AI, and third is your page load speed. These three things you should be checking. And while you are checking for indexing, it will also show you how the meta is there. So meta, title, and description. So that will also help. All right. So that's there. Now the architecture for repair. This is where what you should be doing. So you should be export focus positioning should be clearly mentioned in your website. The complete digital catalog should be there. Conversion optimized layout should be there. So every information that they need, and technical excellence should be there. So all the technical issues should not be there. So the blueprint, a ready to implement framework, is you should have a digital catalog. Now, when I say digital catalog, it does not mean a PDF file which is uploaded onto the internet. No, a website which has the catalog of your product, right? So I was showing you this product. So this product belongs to a website. So this is where you have a website which has the digital catalog. When digital catalog means the digital presence or digital representation of your product, right? So each and every product is there, right? So this is something which we were seeing. So this is the digital catalog, which is very necessary, because the search happens for the strategic ownership. So that's where clear positioning. So all the information related to your business clearly detailed out in form of properly formatted pages. So it is not like you have just added properly formatted, right? So like that. That's where lead conversion. So you should have inquiry. So if there's someone who's interested, they should be able to connect and convert you. And then trust architecture. So all those pages and blog articles and social, everything should be there, right? So that's the blueprint. Now, this is where I'm going to uh, minimize this presentation. This is, by the way, the last slide. And I am going to very, very quickly take you to another screen, and I'm going to talk to you about a few things. First is, as exporters, and this is something which I'm talking from my previous interactions with an audience like you. So many exporters, when I interacted, they were not familiar with this platform that we have with FIEO, which is popularly known as FIO, Federation of Indian Export Organization, which is a premier export promotion body by the government of India. So we have partnered with them, and we have co-created Indian Business Portal, which is a marketplace for export. So this is a platform. As an exporter, you must be here. If you're not here, that's where you're losing out on opportunities. So you must be here. Uh, it is called Indian Business Portal. You can list from here. You can sell on Indian Business Portal, and if you are already part of Global Inker, you can easily submit your request through list on Indian Business Portal. The second opportunity which I would want to highlight is the Global Income Marketplace. I'm not sure how many of you were familiar that we operate a marketplace as well. So this is a cross-border B2B sourcing platform. So this is where domestic as well as international sourcing happens. Indian Business Portal is exclusively export. There's no domestic sourcing happening here. This is where domestic as well as international sourcing happens. So, as a B2B business, this is also a platform where you must be, because it increases your visibility and gives you a lot of chances to get leads and inquiries. On Global Income Marketplace, to increase the avenues or increase the prospects of our users, what we have done is we are partnering with very large organizations that have to regularly source raw material. In fact, in India, there is a regulation which requires public listed companies to source 30% of their raw material from SMEs. And SMEs, as you know, are little unorganized, and because of that, it becomes a little challenging for them. So that's where we help them in sourcing the product. There's a concierge service that we provide to them, wherein our team works with them and helps them source the product. And it's not like a one-time sourcing. They need the raw material every month. So we work with these companies like Marico, Tata, Wholesome Food, etc., and they are regularly sourcing from Global Income Marketplace. We also work internationally. So in Philippines, we have done a lot of work with the Department of Trade and Industry. We have helped them digitize two of their major exhibitions, National Food Fair and National Trade Fair. Just sort of mentioning that. Now, many businesses, after these webinars that we do, wherein I talk about the discoverability, a lot of them come back to us that we are sincere and serious about making ourselves AI understandable and AI discoverable, but we are not able to do that ourselves. We don't have time. There are many things that we have to look into, and our developer is not supporting, or we are not sure whether he or she will be able to do that. So that's where we need help, and they had been coming back to us. So that's where we finally decided that let's build a service to help businesses who are sincere and serious about making themselves AI understandable. And that is this service. This service is called the Done For Me B2B website setup service. And this is purely created around AI understandability, or making businesses AI understandable. So purely created around making businesses AI understandable. What does it include? It includes firstly focusing on the product. So that's where the description of each and every product is precisely written to help AI understand your product. So it is search engine optimized, it is AI discoverability optimized. So all the products from your catalog, from your kitty, they are all optimized and listed. You may provide information about the product, but I may not even upload a single word of it, because I will run it through our process, optimize it, and then upload it. So we attack it from the product side, because that's the most important bit. If you recall my presentation, if you don't have detailed product information on your website, then having a website as good as not having a website. So that's where we approach it from there. Then the business information pages, the silent paradox, if you recall from my presentation. So we attack that, including the trust signals, all the compliance related pages. And it is also based on research. So it is not randomly we are creating pages. We do a research, we understand which are the pages which are required to be there on your website, and we create them. We ourselves will create the content. We will run it pass through you and you can share your observations, but we will do that. Next is SEO. And when you'll do that exercise of typing site or going to Google, typing site colon and then copy pasting your URL, you may notice that many of the pages are appearing like with one word titles, which is not good. So we also approach that. So because like Google, AI also indexes the information. So that's where if the meta title and descriptions are not updated or they are not optimized, you will have similar type of issues with your AI understandability also. So we update meta in all the pages. We do a research and we find what are the important questions being asked on the internet related to your products, and we create 5 or 7 blog articles around that. And we also link your website with multiple platforms, including Google Search Console, Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, Microsoft Clarity. So we do the integration with all of them. Design wise, we have a theme based model. So wherein our team will help you choose a suitable theme, and then the banners, etc., will be designed. All of you will also have a profile on Global Inker similar to these. Now, this profile has two roles. One, it appears in search. So someone is searching for a business, it will also appear. Now, if it is not updated, it will not give a very nice impression about you. Second is any customer looking at your product will want to know about you before sending you an inquiry or before starting a conversation with you. So that's where, for example, this is a turmeric finger. Now, before I click on send inquiry, which will start a chat with this business, I would want to understand more about this. So that's where I can go to their profile. There's some information available, but I can go to their company profile and I can read in detail about them. Now, if this is not optimized, obviously it will not give the right impression. So we also optimize it. Now, listing, we will list your products on the Global Income Marketplace on Indian Business Portal. And for B2C sellers, we also help them list on ONDC, which is Open Network for Digital Commerce. Lastly, the website will get created. So we'll create a new website, entirely new website on our platform. Now, what is the need of creating the website when we can fix it? Because it is not just related to uh, fixing things. AI discoverability is a evolving thing, right? So as we are evolving, there are newer things which are happening, and a lot of them are happening technically on the back end. So that's where we are ensuring that we are inculcating, we are incorporating all those technical things onto the platform itself so that it is technically sound to support proper AI discoverability. The next is the platform that we have created is a no code platform, and it is a DIY platform also, do it yourself platform also, which means anyone and everyone can use that platform. And it is simple and easy to use. You are not dependent on the developer. You are not calling up, hey, Adnan, I want to add a paragraph on my website. Can you do it? You don't have to do that. Anyone and everyone can do it themselves. If you can type, you can manage the entire website. But familiarization is required, right? How should you upload a product? How should you add a blog article? Or how should you respond to an inquiry? You should know from where, which buttons to click. We will train you in doing that. And we also follow a dedicated project manager model wherein the entire project is executed by one person. So you don't have to talk to 10 different people. And even after the execution, that person remains available for you to help and guide you. So you can approach that person if you need any clarification. The overall turnaround time is 15 days. So from day 1 to 15, we will turn around your website. So this is where you will subscribe to the service, and this is where the website goes live. So within 15 days, your AI discoverable website gets completed. With regards to pricing, it is 24,999, including GST. That's the discounted price. The actual price for this service is 40,000, 30,999. And this is only for the first year. So if you're believing that every year Adnan is going to charge 24,999, no, it is only for the first year, and it has two parts. One is 4,999, which is the platform subscription, and then the rest is for the service for setting up your AI discoverable website. website. Second year onwards, so this is for the first year. You don't have to pay anything else other than this. Second year onwards, you have to just pay 4,999 per year. That includes again everything: hosting, tech support, platform subscription. You don't have to pay anything else other than that. So that's the pricing. I will share the link of this service in the chat. So if any one of you are interested, you can proceed ahead to make the purchase. And after the webinar, I will be sending out an email to all of you with the recording. Now, if any one of you would want to get on a one-on-one meeting to discuss and understand more about the service or get your website reviewed, you're more than welcome. I will send that email and I will give you a link. Using that, you can schedule the meeting. All right. So this is where I've turned off the screen share, and we will now break into the question answer round. So I can see there are a few questions on the Q&A. Let's have a look at it. Okay, so I can see there's one question from Dr. Soft, and the question is they're into engineering solutions and not products. So that's where they want to understand how should we be approaching. So what are the engineering solutions that you're providing? Now, there are different, possibly based on the client's requirement, that you may be offering, but you understand what are the major ones. So every business has that 80-20. So the 20% which contributes to the maximum revenue. So you should be talking about those, right? So you should have detailed pages talking about what are the services, right? So where I showed you the Finel product. So instead of Finel, it will be one of the engineering solution that you're providing, consultancy that you're providing. So it should be talking about that. Next question is from Sakshi ji, and the question is: Are these theories applicable when we want to export as a brand in bulk? Yes, certainly. In fact, that's where you have to also get into the brand storytelling part of it. Right, so you have to be more detailed as compared to the other ones. Yes, so all these theories, plus you have to also talk about the brand's philosophy, and everything else related to it, right? So you have to get into that storytelling about the brand as well. And everything other than that, which I explained in this webinar, yes, all of that applies to you. Uh, Next question I can see is from Sheikh Junaid. And the question is on the Global Linkers platform, will our website be visible to domestic market? Yes, your website is on the internet. So anyone accessing internet can discover your website and access your website. Yes, it will be visible to all. Uh, So, Mrinal, I will suggest. So, next question is from Mrinal, and asking for a company that can handle GPSR compliance to EU region. So, I would request if you can drop me an email. I would try to connect you with a person who can help you in this. So, I'm just sharing my email ID and contact details with everyone. So, you can drop me a message there, and this is where I've done that. I've shared and to Branal, I'm also sharing my email ID, so you can reach out to me. So, any other questions from in the chat? I can see there were a few questions. So one question was from Mr. Sanjay Bhatt. The question was, once a website is created, how can you check whether a website is AI understandable? So you start with basic. Firstly, check indexing, schema, and those kind of things. And once that is there, uh, because similar to Google, AI also takes time to absorb your information, but within a time frame of 2 to 3 months, if you go to AI and ask for your business, it should have a reasonable amount of details, right? So if you are go to AI and ask like uh, describe this business, so describe ABC Enterprises, so it should be able to give you an answer. Or once it has given the answer, you can also ask what product or services does this business offer, and if AI understands that, it will be able to recommend. I'm just reading the chats which are there. Ravi ji's question: should we include price of the product? If you can, yes, that will help. If you can't, then you can use price on request. Next question is from Dinesh Patil, and the question is: we have 300 product. Each product needs proper description and indexing on Google. Yes, even if you have 30,000 products, yes, that applies. Uh, Next question is from Mr. Ashwin. Which platform is good for reaching out to global buyer? Now, this is where all this Ramayan, which I had been telling for last 1 hour, I hope you have got a sense to it. So, what you are doing is you are reaching out to international buyer, but if you are not AI understandable, it has an impact there also, because these international buyers are also human beings like me and you, and they are not going to go to Google and spend time researching about you, or go to your website and figure out what do you do, what type of certification, etc. do I have. They just will just use AI, and that's where if you don't have a AI understandable website, you know the fate, right? So firstly fix the AI understandability, and then obviously you can look for, and that's where if you are looking for leads, even ChatGPT can find you potential buyers. So in today's day and age, you don't actually need a sophisticated tool. Even ChatGPT can help you do that. Next question is from Milind. Will we get leads after we have done the website? Yes, you will get the leads if you are serious and sincere about the website. So having a website, no, you have to continue to do social posts. You have to continue to write blog articles. So if you continue to do that, like building a website is just the starting point. So we are giving you a head start. but you have to continue to run. If you don't run, just building a website is not going to help you. Yeah, possibly after some time you may get one or two deals, but if you are serious about this, you have to work on it. And yes, for sure, you'll get business out of it. And there are many businesses who have gained that. So I showed you that perfume business. So within the first 60 days, they received a order from Italy, and there are other businesses who also received orders from various countries in US, Europe, etc. So yes, they will get, if you're doing the right things, yes, for sure, you will do that. But it does not stop that I've given you a service, I've given you a website, and it stops there, and you're doing absolutely nothing, and magically you will continue. It is a continuous effort. You do it, you hire someone who does it, but continuous effort is required on that front. Yes, you can be smart about that continuous effort. You are not investing a significant portion of your every day into that. You are using AI, and you're probably spending few hours every month doing that, but yes, effort will be required. Next question I can see in the Q&A is from Mr. Mushtaq. Question is related to the product. So they are dealing in two products. One is agri commodity and second is machinery. So Mr. Mushtaq, in the machinery, again, what type of machineries you are catering to? Because machinery is a category. In fact, potato is also a category because there are so many varieties of potato, and even in varieties, there are different grades, etc. So these are two categories that you're dealing in. And as a starting point, they are quite elaborate and large. Yes. Uh, Next question in the chat where I can see, should we publish lab test reports of spices? So it depends on your product. So whether telling that these are the lab tests which are available for the products, yes, because I believe with every consignment, there's a new lab test you must be doing. It is not like I did the lab test today and it is applied to all in future. It doesn't work like that. So for every batch that you're receiving, you must be doing lab tests. So every month you are adding a new certificate and replacing the older one. That may become quite cumbersome. So it would be better to clearly mention that these are the lab tests which are available, and if required, a certification can be provided and shared. But if it is possible for you to display, yes, why not? The more the merrier. All right, so I believe no further questions. So this is where, and we have overshot our time by half an hour. So I hope you found the session informative, and you will all try not to be Arvind as the main character from my story. So work on your discoverability. You need it. Your business desperately needs it. And with that note, I would want to conclude today's session. Thank you all. Thanks for your time. And I hope you found the session informative. I look forward to be in touch with you. And I look forward to see all of you scale your business digitally and generate lots and lots of revenue. All the best. And bye bye from my side for now. Thank you.